Ja, juxatini jaltakat Johan. Stöpti. Shkalneek to daati ja shkalneek ḳoon shkalneek daat to ḳotangiaigi. Joit ʻonea jitooné Kaxwaan Éesh ʻatangi. Wuti qir aya ke wat qir oe. Daqtain tan khusati. Ja tu oe has kutsati. Kluknach adioe aye haswuti and ak. Nachu dachaya haswullakas. Ja tu a. Chaya gwash hasawli yechwe hit. Ak. Jaguta hit has outlier. Aqa taqtain hit you do a saw. Taqtain tan khusati waga. Gwashisa ko achu a tan has to saitin. Kagwan tan, kawagani hit tan. Taqtain hit tan. Dísi tan, deshu hit tan. Taqasatse. Sukoi kutsati hask. Wooch tan, wooch kika hit tan. Ishkitan, ishka hit tan. Hokret tan. Gwash tan ae achwa. Utusaku. Das.
Does that mean people?
We hit dachu. Yeah, awe. Awe. Ja, taqtain tan khusati. Du ish haso et saqwedi. Saqwa. Yidu a saqwa at angun ikki. Ikki dachawe angun. Klashana shekwa adach. Awe khana kawanik. Hukka. Du taqian. Gwash du hundcho has. Hechosaku. Daqasa shukwa gwash du kik. Du hundcho. Gwashnas kinach has wusati. Qanachoy has awash gugan Lingít the kathas. Khana kawanik. Ja S'eek qa asqehu awedu yejne. Tlakoy ko awe yende shani du jitawati. We daat qa khat dasa. Ajowe du aya you has ʼatudli.átk. ʼatkin. Which ago qago. Qone yeji wene du in. Gwash nasjan karkan. Naskadushu jan karkan naskadushu edu katagu. Ye awe khan hasakawanik. Konachoy aw sakuha yukatangi. Aqa awe. Qone aya wuchin yeji wene. Du hit the yik clay the hin. Kaxwaan Éesh, Shakshani, Ḳustáco Keishe, Qoneote, Alke Haswutian, Qanachoe Wuke. Ya Chaltakatat Aya Qaxwawu Sahit Wudishitin, Yaha Yukatangi. Achishtiqa Khatati do Yukatangi Aya Kagachtu Katushhidi, Qa Kakachtunik. Khosaku and Qanin Slidzi, we Qa Yukatangi Katushhidi, Qa Katunik. Khosakutsuko Yakuitsige, how we do Dísi. We take a Khosaku on Exai, Masai, Yok. Owe Yakonea Diajikachtne, Ḳustín Náaḳw, Ya Náaḳw Adati Tıxatangatsu. Xana Kawanik, Ho Owa Ausaku, Guxaye Yetik Eka, قتل تايي أو أقوو أخو أوي يقتن كلكتين خاصكم كوش أين يا أو خو أخ داسك شو يخ يا أو أخ تو يك إخو أدو إني جخونين يا أخي أو شتو آتلين يقتنك قا لشوق أوي قاش لشوق أوي قا كلكتين أوي دو شت كيك أخني وجود أقا أوي قل تلاوس كوشلين جد خا كاخوان إيش يا يوسقا واسوي شوت شان هقا داسوي what's that يا يوسقا what's up old lady قاندين خد يوتزاقا I'm just a translator يا يوسقا يا أوه قنية دات يجاكتوني شواسا يتواسكو دات ʼatudli.átk شخوا هلواسات لقوتي قلت قتنك تواسكو أتخيت ليخي كندي أخجوش جديخي تجوش كي جوخ كي like كي جوش كقلة ساق يخوتي جخلتاق كي جخلتاق كي جخلتاق يوهان كي جخلتسو يا أوه دات يتخوتنك قوستسو أكا قوستلتاق قشلتاق شلتاق يا خسك ششيغو أدخو أختو وصاصيتي داسا داتي ودتن لقاق إنخ قاوكا Okay.
Kaxwaan Éesh Ḳustín Náaḳw ká.
Betaille Jagachtini. Okay. Should we recap? What was I saying?
Started out like
Unless you guys want to talk Lingít, door's always open.
you started talking about how Kaxwaan Éesh is Daat and talking about where the Daat come from.
Yeah. He grew up in Cake, but his Daat town, which are a lot of them in Huna these days, a lot of them in Kaxwaan Éesh. Some of them on the Zoom right now. Okay, that's it. I was just thinking about, the Taan and how that, of these clans and these migrations, it's always just interesting for me to think about, talk about. I think we talk about it enough, but.
The Taan?
Yeah, the Taan part, like the hit Taan, and when they would separate and sort of take that. We kind of, at one point, were toying with the idea of making up clans for people to use who study our language. I think it was Taan and Adi. Should be Yedi. That'd be a pretty cool name. But anyways, yeah.
That's maybe a terrible story. I forgot what event it was for, but Achishas, Achilkohas, Kastakat, we hussies.
I had someone else at Celebration do that now. Achishas, Achsanihas, Achatas. and all you other husses. It's very funny. Okay. Yeah, just think about Kaxwaan Éesh and working with him. I talked about one. Who all did I name that was in his house? Do you folks remember? Keishi,
Guneoti.
Kshani, Koneoti. Yeah. Kushtauquish. I think that was all of them. That was so cool. A little impromptu language gathering. But I had to use, I think I got the recording on the YouTube. But because there were so many, I had to use like a shotgun microphone. And they were just tearing the road up outside. It was the loudest thing. So, but it was great. I mean, that was so cool. They were a lot of fun to work with. He was a funny person. He was a kind person. He told me when he was growing up, he fished and hunted a lot. And he used to always bring food to the old people. That's why he knew Lingít, because they would talk to him. So that was really cool. But we're going to work on his story a little bit. So I just want to talk about him. He's probably 88 years old when I started working with him. We did translation work going English to Lingít for these books like ḳoon. Then we went Lingít to English for like a lot of the Raven stories. We worked on the Raven stories a lot. And sitting there listening to Frank Italio and Frank Dick and Susie James and writing down like what you folks are doing to transcribe and to translate something. Then in our class last night, we listened to Alex Andrews, and it was amazing. If you're ever looking for the audio for the Battle of S'eek, I got them both. So if you go to klingalanguage.com, learning Lingít and Lingít oral literature, one of them's there. The other one will be there next week. But it just amazes me to do like a 45-minute story and just to write down all the Lingít that's in that. Like that woman who offended the bears, those ones are 20 minutes each. And maybe a little longer. So it's wild just to think of that. And this is like a 20-minute story. Is that how long this one is?
It's 27 minutes.
425.
Yeah. So it's oh, go ahead.
It ends earlier than 27.
Yeah, I started speaking English for a while. And this is like to climb a mountain sometimes. As if I do that all the time. I have in my younger days. But as you get closer to the top, it gets steeper and steeper and steeper. That's where we are. Shayag. We're on the face of the mountain. So but we'll just make our way up. Any thoughts or questions about language stuff before we get into our transcription translation work?
Just realized earlier I said ʼatudli.átk when I said ʼatudli.átk or something.
Oh yeah, yitooné, if it's a specific thing. ʼatudli is, are you able to see it? Yitooné is, did you see the specific thing?
Yeah.
It's okay. But it's good that you're catching it.
There was an audio file of the battle, so it covers that.
It's under Alex Andrews. Well, it's under his Lingít name. So it's for last night's class. And you should be able to download it. It's an MP3 file. I had to compress it a little bit because there's a 100 megabyte limit. And it's ʼatudli.átk. Is that what we can go? Megabyte? Or just a byte, huh? ʼatudli.átk. That'd be cute. But then I don't know, do bits and bytes and megabytes. Other language thoughts or questions?
I was wondering, I know that at points you brought up a big file of yours that looks like a database file that has all of your verb, roots in it, and then it's got you've got notes with the translation, and then the classifier and the conjugation particle, and it just looks like a big spreadsheet. And I was looking for it the other day and I couldn't find it. Well, because You got a lot of stuff about verbs.
I think it's in the okay, there's a folder called verbs. So let me,
Yeah.
okay, let me pull up a window that I guess will get us there.
It just seemed like a easy way to sort of search through stuff and by classifier and conjugation prefix and stuff.
It is, and I also have not updated it. You know, so it's not the up-to-date one, but it shows you everything that was. I can't really remember. Okay, but I'll show you how to find it. So let's see. This is I split this I was doing mirrored monitors. Now I have split monitors. So I'm just going to be looking up this way while I do that. I still don't know how to do the cameras and everything in this room. So if you go down to verbs, and there is a lot of stuff in here. If we go down to verbs, there's some really handy things in here. This is where I put collections of verbs, like here's a whole bunch of cooking verbs. Here's a whole bunch of breaking verbs. Here's Jeff Lear's verb notes reformatted. Just like as here's where you can download. So like Carrie Eggleston has a database of verbs, and she's probably added to it since this one. But I downloaded hers and then did some substitutions. So it's got a few, it's probably got some typos too, though, from my substitutions. But what we're looking for is these things right here. So these are lists of verbs. This was, I don't even know when I did this. But let's take a look. So these are organized by, I think by, oh, I guess this is the right thing, maybe. Oh, that's not going to be helpful at all. Okay, hold on. Let me find another way to get there.
You have a treasure there.
Yeah, they should. So there are. That was not what I thought it'd be. But I do think I can open them in a browser. So I guess you have to download them and then open in a browser is maybe the way to do it. But when you do, this is what you'd be looking at. So they're organized by. So yeah, this does have a lot of the verbs from the verb dictionary. It's kind of an older way. I was messing around with this idea of putting the conjugation prefix right there, which I don't do anymore. But that's a short form to like put every single thing into the stem. And so this is organized by verb root. And so if you go through, you can sort of see, and that just tells you, like, I think it's interesting to see which one has the longest entries. I think it's H, well, G and H and K have a lot. And so you can go, and so what I tried to put on this thing was the theme, the imperfective, and then here is, and this is extra information, like, sort of like the way I'm writing themes now, is sometimes that information doubles up. So this tells you the conjugation, the classifier, the root, the keyword, and the definition. I think I've got a couple other things on there. But if we go through, so then I sort of use that as a model. And I'll find the spreadsheet itself and put a link to that so you folks can have that as well. But so here it is by classifier. And so you can see like this, as far as like doing verb analysis, I know this looks probably very, very tiny, but I'll zoom in a second. So these are your 0 classifiers, lots of them. And then we go down to well, I would write D plus 0 nowadays. I guess I wrote a little different. And not as many of those, right? So you scroll through it pretty fast. S classifiers, quite a few. D plus S, not very many. L, quite a few. D plus L, not very many. SH, hardly any. D plus SH, very few. So that kind of, it just tells you things about like the classifier, which ones are most common. And then I did it, I guess the next useful one is by conjugation prefix. So, and these are all the same verbs, but they're just organized by this different information. So here you can see the zeros, lots and lots and lots. G, quite a few. Q, not as many. Na, lots. So I guess and then I didn't know. I could probably go back and update this at some point. But I guess it goes 0, na, ga, ga. Just in terms of the most common ones. So yeah, I'm glad you asked about that.
Goodness, sheesh. I think
yeah.
there's plenty for most of us. Goodness, sheesh.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Let's go. Let's go in the deep waters with Kaxwaan Éesh then. Let's see. Is it this one?
Are you gonna send that Lingít verbs thing?
Yeah, I'll post it on our website.
Okay.
I'll post the links, those are HTML files. And then I also have it as a numbers spreadsheet and an Excel spreadsheet. But yeah, just so you can have, like, I think it's handy to have them to be able to look them up. Okay. Yuck A. So I think that's where we left off. There's a lake. Sockeye Creek is on the lake. People migrate along it. That you want it, I'll tell you the story. Towards Ksz'awak, it was there. People maybe used to be in the habit of working on traditional foods. Whichever person is lazy, they are going to starve. Sometimes he would say "tauk," in the wintertime. So this is a parable. This is like Tlingit stories sometimes have these phrases that just get said like in a very specific way. And this is one of them. So here's our next one.
ʼatudli.átk. ʼatudli.átk. ʼatudli.átk.
I do think there's a little bit of a missing I would expect the to be on there.
ʼatudli.átk.
Anyone want to help me spell it? Away.
ʼatudli.átk.
So I would probably, like, this is the part that I'm not hearing, but I think would usually be on there.
ʼatudli.átk.
Sounds like there's a,
ʼatudli.átk.
Oh, sorry, what's that?
I said it sounds like there's a R in that first word.
I don't know if there would be.
ʼatudli.átk.
I hear shkalneek at the end, like Shirley.
Shtaka.
Yeah, Shirley.
ʼatudli.átk.
It's kapka. You'd usually hear that as probably kagu. Kagu. That's what I hear. I think that is what he was saying. But it also might be like with the K on there, like I might say let's flatten that.
ʼatudli.átk.
The away, I guess, is in there. Any takers on the translation?
So is it the low X with the pinch that's supposed to be there, but we're not hearing?
Yeah, I would think it's going to be ʻayakx'í. And do we know what this verb root is?
Is it ka?
It is ka. So when you close ka, you will get pig, right? And there's a Duckdane Tan. I think it's a Duckdane Tan name. Ḳeek. And that was a name from the Raven story. So it was the name of his uncle. That's also the name of the moon, which is Raven's uncle. Ḳeek, the commander of the tides. So you awake ʻayakx'í ka. What do you think?
The first part is like they would always talk about it, right? Or maybe not about it.
Yeah, like on its own would mean a singular they always say this certain thing. And then I think, go ahead.
Every man. Is that what it is?
Say it again.
Or the men of long ago?
Yeah. Well, I guess you could say maybe like ancient. Long ago. Forever. Could be any of those. Okay. When you do this work, sometimes you'll go through and adjust your end punctuation. Might come back.
Awet tai go to high it the hoe. Awet tai go to high it the hoe.
Sounds like Gaudahai, but I think it is Kaudahai. I'll do the first word. I got the first word. It's on me. First word's on me.
Sheesh.
But the second word?
Sounds like tai to me.
The committee will accept Thai. Oh.
Awet tai go to high it the hoe.
I think it's gonna be cow. Kauduhai.
All one word.
I do think maybe it's two more words.
Awet tai go to high it the hoe.
Ittach.
I got that. Thai Kauduhai it dachawe.
So first tai, is that a low tone? Sounded high tone to me.
Go to high it the hoe. Awet tai go to high it the hoe.
You might be saying a high. Would a high tone work?
Oh, I don't know what the word means.
One of them is like a field or garden, and one of them is fat, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So whichever one makes sense with the verb.
Garden is high tone.
I think it is high. Yes, thank you.
I found garden, so
Go to high. Let's go into this one. Okay, so we're looking for a ha.
I think it's planting.
So we see right. This is a different ha. There, planting, digging up. That's our verb.
So gardens would be planted. Gardens were planted.
Yeah, so I guess people, well, I guess sometimes when I do this work, like I'll have 3 lines, but in our case, we won't do the final step, which is sort of rearranging it to make sense in English. So people gardened, planted, dug, like there's different ways to interpret that. And it kind of depends on, it could be digging, it could be planting, it could be people gardened in the garden. You could say that too. And what about ʻitdach?
Is that from south?
Be ʻichkidach.
Like after it, like it.
Yeah. Their garden people planted after it, that is. How would we sort of convert that? What's our conversion rate? 60%? 70%?
I got something like, and then because of that, people did that only. I thought it was like about like time to collect fat or something like that. How I got it.
I would say like after the people planted in the garden.
Okay.
Like that. Which, if we're talking about ancient times, what do you think they were doing? In bed? Probably not, because that wouldn't really be Thai.
Oh, different garden.
Seeing the like images of like kind of like ditches kind of dug to like collect roots and stuff like that and tubers.
Potatoes.
I think there's only one thing they really planted like that a long time ago, if you ask me.
Potatoes.
Kunz. Potato time. Potato time. I think people from long time ago would usually go out a lot of times to islands on the coast, and because it would be a little bit safer from some of the foragers, and you'd go just above the tide line. And Nora told a story. Her uncle he had a small canoe, and he would drag that canoe out full of seed potatoes in the spring. He would dig them all up, dig out they had gardens, they had specific places they went, and then plant them all, and then, put the soil back over, take his little canoe out, fill it up with seaweeds, bring it in and throw that on top. So it's like fertilizer. And then he'd come back in the fall and fill it up full of potatoes to eat for the winter. So.
Wasn't there a video somewhere of Laura talking about the ancient potato strains that people still had.
Yeah, I know there's probably a couple. She did it for a film that I made of her and Richard. And then there was gal, I don't know if she still lives here. She studied potatoes. Conjugation. Okay. Ask questions if you got them. Keep going.
ḳustín
Okay.
ǩustín
Yeah.
Good one.
ǩustín
This is 3 syllables, but there are 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 things. There's 5 distinct things I'm hearing in this verb. Components.
Oh, that's
Gosh,
yeah. Yeah.
So the k, the n, the ch, guts, ch, those are your 5 things. Then
toward the end.
yes, I think this would be
Is it camp?
camp, which is usually called yanshuka, but I think it could also be called ʼatudli.átk. And I think this is what he's talking about here. If you say ʼatudli.átk, people go to their camps. But you could say towards the end of it, but I think it has some really interesting, like, I guess I don't know what to call them. They're like very permanent type of metaphors. And one of them is a S'eek. They might say a S'eek de kukwagut, which means I'm gonna go hunting. But it's literally like saying I'm gonna go into the forest floor. In ʼeat, I think it's called ʼatudli, is a tree with the root system poking up, like it falls over and all the roots are like sticking way up. And that's called the forest floor thing. It's a really interesting word. And so similar to that, you have yanshuka, which means, I guess, on the edge of the, out in front of the shore, maybe. And then a shude. But Jiwu and I sometimes talk about this word sh, because it does mean the end of something. But when you say shoot is usually at the end of something. But if you put w on there, which would be technically at sh, it's half. A shu. And then if you say ʼakshude, there's a Raven story. He says ʼakshude, ʼakshude. And the elders translated that as come and get me. So let's just say camp. To camp. Kalneekx'í.
They migrated.
People always migrate. So the ḳ is the people part, because it takes an object pronoun only, this verb. And then the na plus the ch is what gets us to always, although this is sometimes translated as used to. But it doesn't fully make sense to me all the time. If I'm speaking Lingít, I will use this mode to say always. And then I would say ʼatudli.átk. So the exact same conjugation, but you add the decessive suffix on there, in, and it's used to always. ʼatudli.átk, as Shah Dog would say. I used to always boat around. Okay, so after planting, they all go to their camps.
ʼatudli.átk, ʼatudli.átk.
So we do have this one up here. So I am going to say Adam.
ʼatudli.átk. ʼatudli.átk.
This is a verb I didn't know until I worked on this story. And the verb has to do with, I think it's one of these verbs where it has like this meaning, like to kind of pack some things around, I guess, but it just has a special interpretation, which is working on foods. And then we heard him say it earlier with ʼatudli.átk, working on their traditional foods. And so ʼatudli.átk is like a shorthand way of saying working on foods.
ʼatudli.átk. ʼatudli.átk. ʼatudli.átk.
I'm hearing sister. Am I crazy?
I don't think it's in there, but I do think there is. This is one of the verbs I'm going to have to check on. And so this one, since this one is very hard, I will write what I think it is. So I think it's sus do g.
ʼatudli.átk.
And then I think this is our verb. Yeah. And I think, I don't know if this one is. Did anybody find this verb?
Not with the shoe on the front.
Yeah, me either.
Found something related to hanging in clusters.
There is
I
that
found like numb.
with like what's like if it wasn't, I do think it's an underlined text though. And so I don't know. I have an estimation, but I do need to check this one with a speaker because it's like one of my big regrets is that I didn't do more of the translation work of his own stories, but I was trying to get like as much work done as I could with him to document language. And we had some translation projects we were working on. But some of these things, like I really wish I'd asked him about. But I do think there's people who still will know. But what I had was but I'm not 100%. I'm not. I would say a 60% chance of rain on that one.
Something similar, but I had a different verb root. I had ḳos, an underlined WA, but it was like what you can pick by your hand easily.
Yeah, right. And that's why I think it's something similar, like you can, it's easy to, but where the sh is on there, like, I don't, like, we see some other ones too, like shkalneek. And so, yeah, I'll have, this is one I'll have to check on, and I'll get back to you folks on.
So it's like related to like hanging at the end, like.
There is that verb, like to hang, like when, I think the first time I worked on this story, that's what I thought it was.
I imagine like a bunch of like strings or something, if they're all different strings or something.
But those are usually like hanging in bundles. So. Okay.
Oh,
I got it.
ḥaskachaknúch ʼatudli. ḥaskachaknúch ʼatudli.
5 words, I think. 5 words, 1 verse.
That's like a chuck, ʼatudli.
ḥaskachaknúch ʼatudli.
They always stack the inside it.
We need a little bit, the last word I think should be a little different.
ḥaskachaknúch ʼatudli.
And why, like, I don't know if it's inside it. It's inside. Because you'd say ʼatudli would be inside of it. But ʼatudli.
Inside there? Inside the place?
Not really a place, or else it would be high toned. I think it's inside something. That's what the ʼat does as, so ʼat can be a relational pronoun as well. So it's a little bit different than ʼa. So ʼa as a low tone is its, and then ʼat as a relational pronoun is something. Okay.
ḥaskachaknúch. ḥaskachaknúch.
Here, IXOA. Kusk.
ḥaskachaknúch. ḥaskachaknúch.
I think it's Sawe.
I heard sow as in like a penis.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
ḥaskachaknúch.
I thought it was like.
Is he saying ḥask?
I was just talking about like small penises.
No. Ask.
ḥaskachaknúch.
The first like thing, what are you folks?
It.
ḥaskachaknúch.
It's Sawe. But I think if we have Sawe, I would expect some sort of question marker.
ḥaskachaknúch.
There is like at there, like
Say it again.
awake.
Awake Sawe. And what were the other? Let's see. Let's put some options here. Awake Sawe. What did I do?
Here, Ayik.
I did something. Did something bad. Okay, here we go.
ḥaskachaknúch.
Awake. And a yik. Anything else?
ḥaskachaknúch.
I thought maybe one. There's a little bit of just an interesting sort of thing going on here. But maybe
I feel like there's a K or an X in there somewhere.
well, there's ḥlaq-sk. So before we get to ḥlaq-sk,
It sounds like wake.
what about like something like my yik? So like he's not really one to use the M. It sure sounds like it. Okay. This is one for us to think about and come back to. What's the last word? Let's do one word from this one.
Black seaweed.
Black seaweed. Yes.
The ribbon seaweed. Yashushet.
Ach, eat Jan Uaha.
How are we gonna translate that?
They're always dry.
They always dried cockles.
Oh. Oh, sorry.
Shkat at Yagi. I'm not in front of my computer, so I have no access to anything I've done. I'm making it all up.
Oh, okay. Good job. And did you get the last?
You could see.
The cut at Yagi awekudziti. How are we gonna translate that? We know like all those words. That's pretty interesting. That's
Every
All
day.
All the days became?
Every day they were.
It happened every day.
Well, the Yagi sounds to me like it's relational.
I heard EA rather than away, so I heard it was like it was existing that way. It was like they were that way.
Yekudziti?
Aya. Kudziti.
Oh, you know what? Someone else, if someone's feeling brave, next week, you can maybe drive the in-law. Okay. I heard a couple suggestions on translations. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, okay. I'll send you this. I'll make sure you have this version. I would say but we're interpreting too. So what I mean by that is maybe.
ʼatudli.átk ḵoon.
ʼatudli.átk a day, like everything has its day. That's what I would sort of think. You are licensed to disagree with me. That's okay. Certified, debatable.
ʼatudli.átk.
I do think you might say it like that.
ʼatudli.átk. ʼatudli.átk ḵoon.
Yeah, he does.
ʻaxkhoha. ʻaxkhoha. ʻaxkhoha.
Therefore,
I got ʻkuha, like a season came there.
ʻaxkhoha.
Yeah, and so yachkoha is how we say seasons. But I think achkoha is saying it regularly arrives. And so yachkoha means like a similar thing. And this is yachkoha is the Tlingit word for seasons. It means like it can regularly arrives. So I think we were talking about this kuwaha. Is that us or was that the other class? Gout Kaudahit and
That was us Monday.
okay. You okay? I knew it. What's that?
Oh, I'm just looking at like the next line I have.
A credit ʻatudli sagnich, a season nichotziti, the cut out. A credit ʻatudli sagnich, a season nichotziti, the cut out.
Akshe.
A credit ʻatudli sagnich, a season nichotziti, the cut out.
Leit Katje Saknuch.
A credit ʻatudli sagnich, a season nichotziti, the cut out.
Maybe it's saying yekutzit.
A credit ʻatudli sagnich, a season nichotziti, the cut out. A credit ʻatudli sagnich, a season nichotziti, the cut out.
I think we'll say in English.
They always call it that. A season. Everything.
Okay. And what he's talking about here is like there's a time to gather certain things, right? There's like a schedule. We gather by the seasons. So I think he's talking about. Okay.
A yisawa ta'shu de qunnash, guts. A yisawa ta'shu de qunnash, guts. Ayisawat ʼatudli.átk gáts.
Feels a yes away. Huh. Okay.
Yes, so and then it's the same sentence we translated earlier.
Ayisawat ʼatudli.átk gáts.
Yay. 2-minute mark. Only 20 more to go.
What makes you think it's a yes soa instead of a yes oa?
Oh,
ʼatudli.átk gáts. Ayisawat ʼatudli.
it is a way. Good catch. I wonder if that's what he said earlier.
ʼaxk.
Ma yes away. I'll check again with headphones. That's enough for today. Good job. How far you want to get by Thursday? 3-minute mark? Thoughts, questions? Everybody okay? We're going to get to this Náaḳw pretty soon. Okay. Let's conjugate some verbs. So we've done these already, so they should go pretty fast. But this is just our get ourselves warmed up and into the flow. If you've answered, try to hold until you've heard quite a few other answers. But if there's a long pause, just go ahead. I am looking for I love them. Ḥasaxan. Yeah, I love them all. Ḥasaxan. I love you.
Issachan.
Ixsachan. I love y'all. Yichsachan. Or yichsachan. Yeah, yichsachan. I love people. Ḥuchsachan. I love something. Atchasachan. We love them. Tisachan. We love them all. Them's. Astisachan. We love you.
Itusachan.
Yitisachan. We love you all. Yitisachan. We love people.
ʼatudli.
Particachan. Particachan. We love something. Particachan. You love them.
Asyasachan.
Singular them.
Oh. Asech. Isachan.
Isachan. You love them all. Now there's some husses. This one should always be the easiest one. Let's just add hus and say the one that was right before. Yeah, hasisachan. You love me.
ʼatudli.
You love us. You love people. Kisechan. So ḳ and I will become ʼqi. You love something. You all love them. Yisachan. Yisachan. It's got to be short. Yisachan. Yisachan. You all love them all. Hasisachan. Just put a has in front of it. There should be no delays on that one. You all love me. Hatisachan. You all love us.
Hayisachan.
Hayisachan. You all love people.
Hayisachan.
Huyisachan. So it does push to go long. It's kind of interesting. Yeah, almost never goes long. I mean, he said it, and so these are all George Davis, and so I was like, oh, I didn't expect that, so I just wrote it. And so, but I'm sure you could probably say quyisechan, and it would be just fine. So he might have been putting extra emphasis on it too, like kind of. You all love something. Atisachan. They love them.
Asechan.
Asechan. They all love them, or they love them all, they all love them, or they all love them all.
Hasisachan.
Hasasechan. They love me.
Ḥatsachan.
Hatsechan. They love us.
Asechan.
Asechan. They love you. Isechan. They love you all. Isechan. They love people.
Kusachan.
Kusachan. They all, or sorry, they single, they love something. Okay. The hus is on the outside. The hus is Pluto, still a planet. They all love me. Haschetzachan. They all love us. Haschasachan. They all love you.
Hasisachan.
Hasisachan. They all, oh, I guess I didn't have, they all love you all. Anybody want to tell me how it would go?
Hasisachan.
Hasisachan. They all love people. Hasqisachan. They all love something. Asatsachan. So now we're going to the fourth person. Something has to change. What has to change? The classifier must go to z. You cannot say duse. You have to go dudze. So that will be, you'll end up with dudze all the way through. They are loved.
Ditzachan.
Dudzachan. They all are loved.
Hasisachan.
Hasdudzachan. I am loved. Chatdudzachan. We are loved. ʼatudli.átk. You are loved.
ʼatudli.átk.
ʼatudli. You all are loved. ʼatudli. People are loved. ʼatudli. Something is loved. ʼatudli. Okay. Cheese, you have done that verb every which way you can. Congratulations. You should be able to conjugate that verb any single, like that one works as an imperfective. That means you are only switching the object and subject, which is a lot. But like if you go through and practice and practice and practice, you'll see the objects are switching in the same order and then the subjects are switching in a certain order. I did forget one of them, which was interesting. I never noticed that before.
Can you say they all love them all? Like has S'eek or something like that?
It's just has S'eek.
So
with the third person has, that could be pluralizing the object or the subject or both. So you need to do some extra work outside of the verb. And just similar to that, to say, how do I say you love them? Anybody remember? No, just a singular them.
S'eek.
And how do I say they love you? S'eek.
S'eek.
Those two also conjugate exactly the same. So you have to do a little bit of work outside the verb to get it. Okay. So now we've been looking at these verb components for a while, and now we're going to start looking at how we can think of these charts and how they can help us to remember how to put verbs together. So I want us to talk about, this is what the positive perfective looks like. You have to have the perfective marker here. There's the only thing that gets activated is y. The subject can change, the object can change, you can have thematic stuff, but as far as what needs to be there to make it perfective, you need this and a plus I classifier. So you can only choose from this, like it blocks out this section on the left. Ya, di, si, zi, shi, gli, shi, j. Those are your only options. Half the classifiers are not eligible. All zero open stems will be long and high. Na, ga, and qa, the non-zeros, will be long and low if they're open. For closed, zeros will be short and high, everything else long and low. Unless there is no low version, which would be marked in the theme, then it stays high, but it is long. That is the perfect. What's that?
Why is g high tone in the stem column?
Say it again.
Na, na, g, g, like the high tone g right there.
Oh, whoops, that's a mistake.
Okay, I was like, did I miss something? Okay.
That's my own conjugation prefix. Yes, thank you for noticing that. I never noticed that before. Okay, okay. Okay, so this is just show this. So like, there's this whole like board game thing for this, and you could sort of like, if you wanted to put the pieces there and say, this is a perfective. This is what it has to be. It is extremely predictable. And then when you say, oh, well, what happens if you go negative? Now you add clash, which you could say clash, clash, hash, tish. Sometimes it's just a little but the negative particle is there. You do have the irialis and the perfective marker, but they always just blend together. You have to now have a minus I classifier every single time. So you get 0, da, sa, s, sha, sha, sh. Every 0 is short and high. Wait. Okay, I think this is right. All 0 opens are short and high. Everything else open, well, everything else is long and low. Oh, I guess I raised my hand and other people have their hand raised. I'll put my own hand down, but who else? Atusa.
Oh. Yeah. I was wondering, is the pronunciations of clef is that dialectical or is that like choice?
Probably both.
Okay.
Tish is maybe more inland, like especially like Tesla and Carcross, but also Angoon. Like I would hear Cyril say Tish. But most other, and one time I was taping Ida and Ida Kalmegan, Tla'uskla, Ida Kalmegan, and Keishi Besikuli. And they kept saying Tish. And I was like, oh, that's how they say Tlash. And like I was thinking that in English. And then one of them looked at me and says, do you know what we're saying? Can you understand us? And I was like, yes, but I was just thinking about something right now and I'm paying attention again. So they must have saw me like thinking. Okay. So that is the negative. And we'll look at this with other charts and stuff, and we're going to practice it. So like ideally, I'm going to show you these charts, which is going to include what the prefixes, what your prefix options are. They're not unlimited. There's only so many. And then we're going to look at verbs and we're going to put them in the perfective. And then I will start showing you just random verb themes. And I'm going to ask you for the perfective version of it. And I'm going to tell you what the subjects and objects should be. And now you can become like full-fledged translators. Now people can come to you with their book titles and cat names and everything else. Like, go see them. For the future, if it's a g verb, you have to have k in front of it. If it's g, you have to have ye. Those are non-negotiable. So you have to know it's ke kwake, ye ikwasatin. That is why you say tsu ye ikwasatin. You must have g, ka in the conjugation. Your classifiers will always be minus I, and your stems want to be long and high.
Sorry. Another one. I heard today that if the classifier is plus D, then the future will be one of them is going to be the kukwa, and one of them is going to be gukka. Is this true?
Okay, so there, okay, let's see. What happens if I hit on? Okay. So if we were talking about tiny text, it's far away from me. It's, what did I say? Didn't I say it earlier this semester? I'm gonna bring like a little pair of opera glasses. It'll be so clever. Okay. Oops. Sorry. Okay, so are we talking about these?
The second ones, yes. But maybe also the first ones, I don't know.
Well, these two, well, let me give you actually a third one.
Mm-hmm.
All three of these are going to follow a similar rule.
Okay.
This one gets a separate rule, which we'll deal with later, which is whether that's short or long. Here is the rule. If there's no thematic prefix on it, it will be kuka, guki, guka. That's what they are. If you put a vowel in front of it, it will change to kukwa, kuki, and kukwa. It must contract. That means every K can only be these ones. And everyone with yay in front of it can only be these ones. Does that make sense?
Yeah. This was like this was like a rule that somebody was saying about the plus D in the classifier, and then specifically about the future form of like he will gamble or they will gamble, and saying that it's an unexpected thing. Aqwalqa versus qaqalqa. I don't know.
Okay,
Like,
well,
I was just gonna, does it matter if there's a vowel in the classifier? Because a lot of times it'll drop the vowel plus D, eh? Is that?
so you have gukwa, which can change to kukwa. But if you have a vowel in the classifier, then you must have guchsa or guchla. So now this whole rule goes out the window. And you have to have guchla and then guchsha. But if you have a plus D classifier, then it must also be minus I in the future, so it can never have a vowel. And that's why you'd say, akkwashka, I'm gonna gamble.
Because there's a plus, because it's plus D? Because it's minus D. Aqwalqa.
Because it's plus D, you can never have, so like this for the, okay, we're talking about the third person subject here. For the third person subject in the future, it is this. It's gukwa or kukwa if it gets contracted. Unless there's a vowel in the classifier, then it would be guch classifier. So guchsa, guchla, guchsha. Those are the only times it can go guchsa, but it also has to. It has to. So that's why you say things like teich guchsati. It's going to turn to stone. Or ku atletuch chet guchsati. I am going to be a teacher. Ach ayich guchsati. Are you going to be my thing? But yeah, that's a good question. Those were two questions, I guess.
I'm gonna teach.
Okay, back to. Okay, one more thing with these charts, and then we're gonna we'll kick off. Let's see. Well, Monday. Okay, hold on. Let me just do this first. Future ga ke ga ye has to be in the preverb. It absolutely has to be. Ga has to be the conjugation. Classifier must be minus I. The verb root will be long and high. The negative future, we're going to add klesh in front of it. This rule will stay the same. These will stay the same. This will stay the same. And these will all be long and low. So add klesh, change it to long and low. That's the only thing that changes. So if you say kukasaku, kukasaku, I will know it. You'll say kesh kukasaku. I won't know it. Which is maybe not the best example. Maybe I should have picked something different. But perfectives and futures. This is what our focus is going to be for the next couple weeks at least. And so for especially our Wednesday class, we're going to be doing a lot of this stuff. And so we're going to go through a few more sort of specifics of these rules. And I'll put this stuff up here. So these two charts right here show you all of your possible prefix combinations. Just dealing with subjects, not adding the objects can change a little bit. We'll talk about how. But I want you folks to have these at the ready, whether you want to print them, have them open on your computer. Again, I'll post this slideshow up to here, because then we'll start looking at a verb like this, and I'll say, look at everything that's here, and we are going to predict what all of these are going to be. That's our next step, including, I would expect you to know, well, this gives you a major hint, okay, just to help you along. But when you look at this verb theme itself, you say, that's a 0, that's closed, it's going to be short and high. It's going to be ʼt'ekh. And you should know that. You should be able to look at that theme and know it. And what we're dealing with right here is the positive perfective. We're just going to do a whole bunch of perfective verbs. And then when we're done, that itself will be a perfective verb. Any questions before we go? You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. So let's see. I think on Monday, what do you folks want to talk about? Like, we got to have a conversation on Monday. We're going to have conversation Mondays. What's it going to be about? Plants? You guys want to talk about plants?
That sounds good.
Okay, go write 1,000,000 sentences about plants, or just have some things to say. And whether you want to just pick one plant and maybe that's your thing, and just write like 10 things about a plant. Or maybe you'll write, what if we did this? If you need specifics, write 4 descriptive sentences about 4 different plants. There. I came to a decision. Yan tuchtitan. Okay? The rest, I'll take all of that silence as unified excitement.
Sorry, what was the decision?
Wait, let me rewind the tape. Let me check the note. Write 4 descriptive sentences about 4 different plants. That's 16 sentences, according to my math.
And you said around 3 minutes for Ḳustín Náaḳw.
Yeah, by next Wednesday. So 7 days from now, get to the 3-minute mark on Ḳustín Náaḳw. Just do your best. Like, if you're feeling like you're getting hung up, just keep on going. Keep going. And we'll work on it together. Because like you'll see, like the things, it's not the easiest recording. It is one of my favorites. So
in the past when we've done this, people have posted their sentences on the Google Drive. And even though we may not, I don't know if you wanted us to do it ahead of time, but at least at some point, it's really useful to have that to go back and look at. So
yeah, I do think that is helpful. And we do have a sentence worksheet, theoretically. Yeah, which I guess we have we not done this at all? Okay.
I think we did it last semester. We did it about all the animals and stuff like that.
Okay. Well, let me put the link in the chat. I'll put the link also on our class webpage. There's a fresh Google Sheet, just bright and shiny and new. And so go ahead and just to recap, what you should do with that is this little downward arrow. Click on that and select duplicate, and then change that to your name. And then we've got all these nouns. I don't know what those were from. But now you pick your 4 plants. Well, you should list them each like whatever your hayani, right? And then you'd have it 4 times. And then you'd have your sentence right here for it. So there should be able to get up to 16. That'll keep you busy. Okay, Sheesh. Good job.
Sheesh.
So it's 4 sentences, 4 plants.
Kanoshishuhan.
Cheers.
You were the traveling foster, right? Huh? You were the traveling